Good morning you guys, it's Karen, and this is a video I've wanted to do for a while, and the reason I haven't is because, well, firstly I've been testing all these new foundations, but also I wanted really to do a spreadsheet. You know how I like my spreadsheets, but I've just not had time, and I thought, you know what, summer is not far from being over. I want to tell people what are the best foundations for oily skin, and the whole point of YouTube for me, this is the kind of point, because I'm makeup obsessed and I love my foundations. I think because I've had such bad skin in my life, it's not too bad now, but foundations for me have just been a saviour, giving me that flawless look that I've always wanted. I test so many, and it means that I can give you the benefit of my experience and then maybe save some people some money. So whereby I've bought a couple of foundations that might have been okay for oily skin and they weren't, I can tell you about it. So I haven't got my spreadsheet, but I have noted down to tell you about the range of colours, the coverage that it gives, how easy it is to blend, of course the kind of finish. Oh goodness, my contact lens keeps moving about in each video and it's really freaky. And how much they cost, of course, because that's kind of key. I am talking about 3, 6, 7 foundations here, actually more than that, because I'm going to mention a couple that aren't good for oily skin. So I might call this best and worst for oily skin. And I've only got 2 drugstore, unfortunately, although there is a third one that I'm going to mention that is a dupe for one of these higher end ones, so I hope that that works for you. I'm only also talking about one that is quite light coverage, maybe 2. So I like a medium to full coverage, so that does mean that most of the foundations I have or try are medium to full coverage. I'm unlikely to try one that says it only provides light coverage, because it won't provide the coverage I need and I won't be able to build it up. Actually, I've just thought of another one that I need to mention that isn't that great for oily skin, and also provided light coverage. So I'll start with that one anyway, and it is actually a CC cream, and it's the Bourjois 123 Perfect CC cream. And I would say that this is great for oily to very oily skin. I have got extremely oily skin, I should start by saying that, extremely oily skin. However, I am on medication that does help it somewhat. So rather than being a 10 out of 10 on the oil scale, I'm probably a 7 to 8 on the oily scale. It doesn't completely change it, it stops things like my mascara, when I'm not on the medication, will go onto my upper eyes. Like within an hour, you'll see like all black marks where my mascara will go up there because my skin is so oily. So anyway, yes, the Bourjois 123 Perfect CC cream. This is actually a great foundation. I don't consider it to be a CC cream. It's got great coverage. I'll do you a swatch of each foundation. This one is in colour 32 light beige. Now, the only thing with this one is there aren't many colour choices, but it's a drugstore. It's a nice, I wouldn't say light actually, I would say it's a medium coverage. And I've got my computer here, I've made sure I've got up every foundation on the screen so I can tell you the prices and the colour range, etc. So this one is £9.99 in Boots, and there's currently 3 for 2 on the Bourjois Cosmetics, so that's maybe worth noting, because hopefully that will still be going when I put this video up. And there's a choice of 4 colours, so like I said, not a great choice, but for £10, that's pretty good. This would be a great one to travel with. If you want to make it fuller coverage, and it's full enough for me, and like I said, I like medium to full coverage, and I would say this is medium. I use a mineral powder afterwards, a mineral powder loose or pressed. I just use quite a thick powder afterwards, and that makes it a lovely, perfect, flawless finish. It blends really easily. This is not one that dries instantly. It does dry nice and matte, but this is not one that's a flat matte. It's got a little bit of something to it, not luminosity. It's not luminous at all, because that just doesn't work for me. Yeah, I would recommend it. I told you everything, yes. I'm so hot, it is so hot today, oh goodness me. I thought I was ill. Yesterday I went to the GP. Was it yesterday? No, Friday I went to the GP, it's Sunday today, and got told I was anemic. So Friday evening I could not sleep because I had a migraine and I was sweating, I had complete night sweats, and we've got to find out why I'm anemic, and there was a really scary reason why I could be anemic. And because I was having these night sweats, I was like, oh my God, that's what it is, that's what I've got, you know. And Kev got up and he said, no, I'm the same. He said, I just can't sleep, it's so hot and it's so humid in Scotland at the moment. Anyway, okay, next I'm talking about the YSL Fusion ink, and this one, it's got a top that you take off like that, and it has got a kind of spatula applicator, which a lot of people don't like. So that's something to bear in mind. If you have an issue with that. I have no issue with that. I actually really like that applicator because it does give you some product to work with. You don't have to use your fingers, you don't have to pour it onto a brush. You can just sort of dot it over your face and get the perfect amount. So I really, really like that. I love my YSL Fusion ink. I haven't gone off it. You would be forgiven for thinking that because I haven't worn it for a long time. So at the end of videos where I'm saying this is what I'm wearing, I haven't mentioned this for a while, I haven't used it in tutorials. It's simply because I've got so many other foundations that I've been trying that I knew that I either loved or didn't love, that I haven't had a chance to go back to using this, but I do love it and I will always love it. I have 4 colours in this. And this is just amazing for oily skin. And until some of these newer ones came out, this was the best that I had found for oily skin. Over and above Estee Lauder Double Wear, over and above the Lancome Teint Idol Ultra, this was the best. This is very, very thin, very, very fluid. The coverage is, I would say, medium to full, but like I said, you could probably shear this out by putting just a little bit on, but you don't get much time to blend it. You do need to blend it pretty quickly. Where is my YSL one? It is here. This one's $31.50, so pretty expensive. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 colours. Well, that's showing on the Boots website. There might be more on the YSL site, but 14 different colours, and they are specifically neutral based, pink based and yellow based, which is good. It's good when they have that colour scheme going on. So this is one of my all-time favourite foundations. Okay, I'm just going to grab them next because I've got quite a few. Actually, let me tell you about the other drugstore one, just in case that's all you're interested in. So this is the 17 Stay Time, and this is a UK only one. I don't think you guys have this in the USA. And I just checked to make sure it was still available because, you know, sometimes things are discontinued. This one is probably the least expensive out of everything. It's £6.49 for this, and it comes in 6 colours. But I just love this. This is a dupe for the Estee Lauder Double Wear, I would say, an almost exact dupe. I can't even think of the differences. I think I've done a video on this. If I've done a video on any of these foundations, I will link them all below for you. The reason the Estee Lauder Double Wear is not included in this is because for me, for oily skin, I think you need to be careful to not wear something too cakey. And the Estee Lauder one for me can be cakey. If you use it with a beauty blender, then it's great. But if you don't use a beauty blender, you don't use something to shear it out, I think it can look cakey. And with oily skin, it means that you'll get breakthrough. It'll be obvious you're wearing foundation. But for me, liking a full coverage, it's difficult to get that full coverage without it being cakey. But I wanted to mention this as being a dupe for the Estee Lauder Double Wear because it is really good for oily skin. It does hold up under extreme conditions. That one is, you need to be quick to blend it. It's a quick drying one. Okay, next is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. You'd have heard me raving about this. It probably seems, I probably seem like the companies that have adverts out that I'm always laughing at. So like, say L'Oreal, they'll have a mascara out. This is the most amazing mascara ever. I love it. It's brilliant. It does all this. And then another one comes out and that one's even better. And I've probably been like that with foundations because I've bought one and gone, this is amazing, I love it. And then I've bought another one and gone, this is amazing, I love it. But I do have a lot of foundations that I love, and this is one of them. It's the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation Plus Concealer. This one is one that you do need to be careful it doesn't look too cakey. I don't love the applicator. Well, I love the applicator. It is a doe foot. But I don't like the fact that there is a very, very thin hole to get it through. It kind of pulls some of the product off because what I want to do is add in a lighter colour because I can't find my colour in the Clinique Beyond Perfecting, which is why I don't wear this very much. So where have I got it up here? This one is £25, so one of the less expensive higher end ones, and it comes in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, about 18 colours. So a pretty large colour range, but for me, I just couldn't find one that worked. 02 was pretty good for me, but only when I needed a fake tan and it was very light. This one is 05, I think. It doesn't go 02, 03, 04. It doesn't work like that. This one is 05 and it's just that little bit too dark. I said, oh, give you swatches and then I didn't, but let me do one of this for you. That's the colour there. That's just that little bit too dark for me and I can only wear it when I've got a new dark self tan on. And so like I said, I wanted to add in some of my Cover FX pigment, but it's very difficult because there is the tiniest hole down there. And then you can't also get enough product out to mix it with. So I don't like the applicator on that, but this is very good. This isn't as liquidy as the YSL Fusion ink. It's more of a thick, it's more of a cream slash fluid foundation. It's not quite a cream, but it does last all day. This gives super full coverage. This is probably like the Estee Lauder Double Wear, but it doesn't dry as quickly. You've got a little bit more time to blend it and it isn't quite as cakey. You haven't got to work as hard to make it look more flawless, but it's definitely a good one. I think this would be a great one for you if you have problem skin, because it has got that concealer element to it, so it does really cover very well. So I love that one. I've told you colour coverage, medium to full coverage at least. I don't think you could get a light coverage from this. And I've told you the price. Lancome Teint Idole Ultra 24. I love this one and have loved this for years actually. And this one is still great. It's still one that, before getting the YSL Fusion ink, I would have said this is my number one for oily skin, and it's number one for if I want my skin to look perfectly flawless. And this is more like the texture of the Clinique one, in that it's not quite as liquidy. It's a little bit thinner. It's not quite a cream, but it's not a liquid. I prefer a more liquid foundation, so I would prefer it to be more liquidy, but it's just, this is just a beautiful foundation. You know, the way people describe foundations as being a beautiful finish. I think this always, whenever I put this on, I'm never disappointed. I always love the way my skin looks. But this one has fragrance in it. Yes, it's quite highly fragranced, so it's not the best, and it certainly wouldn't be one to use if you've got sensitive skin. And if you've got blemished skin, I would probably steer away from this one, but it is still up there in one of my favourites. This one is £29.50, and there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 colours, so quite a big colour choice in that. I've got 2 colours in this, and I love the colours. I do love the colours in this. They're quite neutral to me. They're not too orangey, not too pinky. Just nice neutral colours, so love that one. I've told you colours, coverage, blends, yes. Oh, that one blends very easy. This one's a bit more creamy actually. Even though it's great for oily skin, it's a bit more creamy. And it did last the longest. Like I said, before the YSL Fusion ink came out, this lasted the longest out of all my foundations, but that would be until maybe just after lunchtime when I put it on at 6 o'clock in the morning. It wouldn't be one that would last all day, whereas the Fusion ink would last a lot longer. The Clinique Beyond Perfecting would last longer than this, and the rest that I'm going to talk about would as well. The next one I'm going to talk about is this, the MAC Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. Mine is in NC20, I believe. Let me check. So that's the colour there. And that looks quite light compared to the other ones, bearing in mind that one is too dark for me, the Clinique one is too dark for me, but this one actually dries down a darker colour, so bear that in mind, because I was going to buy an NC25. I was actually at the till and the lady said to me it dries down a completely different colour. So when I actually looked, I had put it on my neck, looked in the mirror, it was fine. When she said that, I went back and looked in the mirror, and the NC25 was way too dark, so I went for NC20, and like I said, that will dry down a lot darker than it looks there. This one is great. It's another great one to travel with. This is probably the most like the Bourjois CC cream, but this one is fuller coverage than this one is. This one is medium, this one I would say is full. And this one will last a little bit longer than the Bourjois CC cream as well. This one just doesn't budge. But the great thing about this one is this is the one that I found gives, I hesitate to say the most natural coverage, because it's not natural coverage, because it is a medium to full foundation, but it isn't cakey at all. I don't find this one cakey, and it really lasts the longest. So it's the one that lasts the longest without looking like it would. You know, you don't put it on and think, well, this dries quickly. You've got time to blend this, or this is very thick, or you know, anything like that. It just feels like a kind of normal foundation, if you like, but it lasts a very, very long time. So I do like that one. Again, I haven't used that one much since doing the review of it and using it a few times. The next one I've used a lot and I love it. This is probably my current favourite. This is the Dior Skin Forever foundation, and it's not one that's particularly advertised as being great for oily skin, but it really is. And I found out that it was a good choice when I bought the Dior Star foundation. And they look very similar, they're in similar bottles, but I bought the Star, did not like it. That would be on my list of not good for oily skin, is the Dior Star foundation. And I mentioned it to a Dior lady once, and she said, Smil, you need to try the Dior Skin Forever. She said, because I've got oily skin, didn't like the Star foundation, but I love this one. And for whatever reason, I didn't at the time. But when I recently went to London, I bought this at the airport and have been using it ever since, and I absolutely love it. It is so, it feels very creamy and lovely going on, but lightweight. I've got it on today, by the way. This is the exact one I've got on. Yes, this is the exact one I've got on. Actually, no, this is 020. I've got on 011. It's a light one. See how dark that's gone now? I'll show you this colour though. This is, oh, that was quite a lot came out in the pump there. That's 020 there. I've got on 011 because I do need to do my tan. But even that 020, beautiful, beautiful colours in this. But it feels very creamy, like I said, but not greasy. I don't like a greasy feeling foundation, and it doesn't make me think, oh no, this is going to make me break out, or this is going to break through, give me oil breakthrough. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels really lovely on the skin. A little bit fragrant, so maybe be aware of that if you've got sensitive skin or acne prone skin. The one thing that's amazed me about this foundation is that it's like its name. It says forever, and despite it feeling creamy going on, and it doesn't even dry to a completely matte finish, like you've got plenty of blending time, it lasts a long time on me. It still looks really nice at the end of the day, which to me is just pretty amazing. So I love this one. It's in a nice bottle. I think it looks nice. It is, I haven't told you the price of this one, have I? £32.50, so quite expensive, probably about average for a high-end one. And not the greatest for travelling. Like I said, for travelling I would probably take the MAC waterproof one. But it's my current favourite foundation. Told you the price. Coverage, medium to full, blends easily. Oh, colours, I didn't tell you the colours. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 colours in this. Interestingly, the lighter colour that I've gone today is 011 Cream, and it's not available on the Dior website, which I thought was very strange, but you can get it on Boots and you can get it in Debenhams. It didn't used to be in Debenhams actually, but it is now. I got it from Debenhams online. That was actually my last best foundation, but I did forget to mention this YSL Fusion Ink. There is one that I think is a pretty good dupe for this, and it's the drugstore one, and it's the Maybelline Dream Nude. I think it's called Dream Flawless Nude. I don't actually have that one anymore. I gave it away, not because I didn't like it, because I did, but I just have so many foundations because I've bought so many, because there's been so many new out, that I knew that I wouldn't get round to using it because I have my favourites. And there are even a couple here, like I'm not sure I'll keep that Clinique one, not because I don't love it, because I do, but just because it's not the right colour for me, and because there's other ones that I love. But yes, the Maybelline Dream Flawless Nude would be a very good dupe for this YSL Fusion Ink, and is good on oily skin as well. And it even has the same type of applicator, except that one's a little ball instead of a little, that one's got a little hole in it. So those are my best foundations for oily skin. For worst foundations, I don't obviously have them because I haven't kept them because they've not been very good. One of the ones that wasn't great for me was the Lancome Miracle Sponge. I thought it was okay at first, but I think it gives a lovely finish, and it's a very light finish, but it wasn't very good as far as oil breakthrough went. And the two that come to mind that really weren't very good at all were the Nars All Day Luminous. Now, I do have to say with that one, some people who have oily skin have got on okay with that, and it is supposed to be one that is luminous but also good for oily skin. I think it might be oil free, I can't remember, but for me it did not work at all. I didn't like the finish of it. It didn't stay very well on my skin. It made me very oily. I didn't like that one at all. And then the Too Faced Born This Way, absolutely not for oily skin, I would say. And that's not just, I haven't yet heard anybody with oily skin say they like it, and everybody I've heard that says they love it has dry skin. So the Too Faced Born This Way I really don't think is for oily skin. It did not last at all on me. It was a beautiful finish, lovely foundation, but within an hour I was oily and I could kind of feel it moving around my face, and I didn't like the feeling at all. I'm trying to think, is there any others that have come out that I haven't mentioned? What else have I got up there? I've got quite a few other foundations. The Revlon Colour Stay is great for oily skin, but I just haven't used that for so long that it's not up there in my favourites. The Max Factor Face Finity is good, which is the CoverGirl 3-in-1 in the USA. The Christian Dior Air Flash is a great foundation for oily skin, but it's very expensive, and it's a spray foundation, which is a bit kind of tricky. The Marc Jacobs, I wanted to talk briefly about the Marc Jacobs Remarkable. I considered doing a tutorial, not a tutorial, a review on that, but we can't get Marc Jacobs cosmetics, as far as I know, in the UK. I bought it from Sephora. And I'm still not sure of my opinion of the Marc Jacobs. I'm glad I waited to do a review because I was loving it at first because it's very, very pigmented. It is very much like the Cover FX drops. And the reason I haven't mentioned the Cover FX as being good for oily skin is it depends what you mix it with. And I haven't found anything that I could mix it with that was great. So to me, it's just something to lighten or darken another foundation. But the Marc Jacobs one, yes, it's good for oily skin in that it dries matte. You don't get very much time to blend it. It's hugely expensive, but I think that's what's broken me out. I've got blemishes on my chin, and I'm pretty sure it's the Marc Jacobs foundation. And when I was out in the daylight yesterday, I thought it looked cakey, and it's the first time I've really seen it and thought, yes, it looks cakey. I had a feeling it might be because it feels a little bit cakey, because like I said, it's not very easy to blend, and you're best using like a beauty blender with it, or maybe even, I keep meaning to try mixing it with a moisturiser. I want to mix it with, I've got a little sample of Clarence's Flash Balm, and I want to mix it with that and see how it goes on, because there's one called, is it called Maximum Cover by Estee Lauder that I use as a concealer, and I used to use as a foundation in my 20s, and I used to mix it with moisturiser and it made it look a lot nicer. So I want to try it with that. So that's my feelings on that. It would be good for oily skin, I think, but I also think it may have broken me out. So if you have acne prone skin, you might want to avoid it, and often those two come hand in hand. Okay, that's everything I have to tell you. I'm absolutely sweltering. It is so humid in Scotland at the moment, so much so that we can't sleep. I think I might have rambled about that at the beginning. And this is family day, so I shouldn't spend too much time in here talking to you guys, because we need to go out on an exciting walk with our little puppy. Well, not so little anymore. Anyway, that's everything. If you've got any questions, then of course leave them down below. I'm sure there's things that I've missed, because I don't have my spreadsheet to tell you, then I've probably have missed things out. I know I didn't do as many swatches as I said I was going to do. I said I was going to swatch each one for you, but I think colour is a very personal thing. I think swatches is better. If I was reviewing one foundation, you know, then I could give you the swatches of the colours that I had, or the colour that I had. I tend to go for yellow or neutral foundations, so most of these lean towards that kind of colour range. But like I said, if you've got any other questions, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. On me today, I told you I've got the Dior Skin Foundation, Forever Foundation. On my eyes, I've got the Bare Minerals Pigment Loose Eyeshadow in Soul. And on my lips, I've got the Nars Audacious Lipstick in Grace. On my cheeks, I've got the Urban Decay Blush in Rapture. And I think that's everything. The rest of my eyes is just the Tarte Tartelette palette, which is what I pretty much use every day at the moment. So thank you very much for watching. I really hope this was useful to me. Let me know how you get on, and everybody watching, if you have any thoughts on this, if you have oily skin, please leave in the comments what is your favourite foundation for oily skin, or what you think of any of these, because obviously this is only my experience and everybody will have a different experience depending on how oily you are, why you were oily, etc. You know, so any information that anybody can put in the comments is really useful to everybody, I think. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.